All right, for today, guys, we're going to do our next step, which is discuss our Net Solutions project, and that's the packet that I handed out to everyone. Just a note on Sage 50, just to give you an update. Again, it's not working the best for everyone. I sent out that email last week because another instructor is having trouble with getting her students to use Sage. Tom was able to get, is it still working?
It haven't crashed on me yet, so.
Yeah, okay, so Tom was able to get his laptop to work once he went to Windows 8 compatibility mode.
Yeah.
So if you're having trouble with your laptop, personal computers making Sage work, that is a solution that has been working. In some cases, it doesn't work either.
Oh.
So I've heard other students use the download 2019 version of Sage onto their laptop, and that has proved so far to be doing well. But again, that's only one student's experience per laptop. So if it's working the way you have it, let's just keep going. The school will not switch to 2019. They are not going to download a 2019 onto the school computers. So if you're going that direction with your personal laptop, you've got to stick with it. Now, school will stay at 2018. If you are able to find a school machine that works, stick with it. Because other machines at school have issues.
Good to know.
So don't think that you can just go anywhere in school and be okay. That's not always the case. Library seems to have issues. Now, they did some repair work. Tara was involved with that. I'm not sure if that's 100% working.
Some of them are working.
Some of them are working.
I know Shane was working on her homework in there yesterday, so. Was it working?
It might be. That's this
They
week.
only put the program on promotion duties.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, fair enough.
So, well, I don't know. Again, it's so intermittent. This is the last year we're going to have Sage. So, Paradigm, which is the textbook author, is not giving us a new version for 2019. I mean, that would have been a solution, I think, but they're dropping the book. So I don't know what we're going to do for next year yet. So we're scrambling a little bit to find a resolution as to what we're going to supplement or add to this course. So do your best.
Can we just do Excel for the class? Not Excel, QuickBook?
That's a possibility if I can find a QuickBooks that isn't step-by-step.
Oh, okay.
I don't, you've done that course already. I don't want to just repeat it, just for
That
the
makes
sake of
sense.
repeating it. So, yes, we are looking at QuickBooks as a supplement.
Okay.
Plus, we're going to 8 weeks. Plus, we need to fit or reconfigure our whole course.
Yeah.
All our courses have to be redesigned. So, but you guys don't
Is that
have
for
to.
complacency for transfer credits to other colleges? Is that part of the, I can't remember if it was Kathy or not that was talking about how we're trying to change up a lot of our classes so we can transfer it to,
Yes.
like, postdoc
Yeah.
universities.
Yes, yes, correct. We are including that in our analysis once we redesign our course. Correct. That is also what we're trying to accomplish. So lots of things
Like,
happen. Well, change is going to be inevitable.
It's coming, yeah.
It's coming.
Whether we like it or not.
I mean, this sucks for us, but I'm happy for the next students that don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, I know. So let me know. Now, obviously, next week we have off. That's kind of what I wanted to give you this Net Solutions project before spring break. But I will be addressing or answering emails over spring break. I do have due dates on the day we come back on the 26th, so that's what I want to address right now. So let's just take a quick look at that. So today we're covering the Net Solutions project in its entirety. The goal with this project is really to simulate if you were running your own business for a month. And that's kind of what our goal is with this project. There are due dates that we will have on the Tuesday you come back. It's right here on the 26th. We will cover them when we discuss the project. It's basically getting started. And not to have the project done by the 26th, just a small tidbit. The goal with that is I don't want students waiting till May 9th or 8th to start the project and it's due the next day. It's just not possible to get it done. So what I have due is the chart of accounts. There are two Excel components to the project, the loan amortization and the depreciation schedules, which you've already got done. You're just basically putting the net solution numbers in to generate a PDF report, basically, that shows me that you've done it. The next thing are some of the defaults, again, the entry stuff, like vendors, customer list, vendor list. There is a customer and vendor default screen that has to be filled in. So that intro stuff is basically what we got to get in by Tuesday of next week. You then have till the end of May, well, not the end of May, what did I say, end of May? Sometime in May, when does it due? May, so if you want to put this on your Net Solutions project already, the transactions, the rest of the Net Solutions project is due May 7th. May 7th is the due date. So we will have a couple weeks where we will not have a class discussion. Basically, you can work on your project here for the full 4 hours that you're here. So I will give you some time to work on it. Again, my goal is to have most of the stuff, if you wish to, most of the work can be done in class with very little work outside of class. So if you have questions or Net Solutions giving you a crazy problem, hopefully we can solve it here if we can. Does that make sense for everyone? Any questions on due dates at this point? Eric, Sandy, are you okay? Okay. So let's go to the Net Solutions project for today. I'll put the due date. We've actually got 2 here. We have our March 26th due date for some of it, and then the rest, the main component, is May 7th. Now, the front page here just shows you what we'll use for software, and again, Excel, which we will start with our loan amortization schedule, which is project 1. The depreciation schedule is project 4. So you'll just use those projects to complete that component of the Net Solutions. And then we do use project 3, but not till May 7th, for the scenario summary. There's a projection that we are going to do for Net Solutions using project 3. So out of the 4 projects that we worked on, we're going to be using 3 of them. And then to enter our transactions, most of us will be using 18 at this point to process our transactions. So for Excel, we'll start And I tried to lay out the packet in sequence. So page 1 is where you're gonna start, and then go from there. Page 2, page 3 is the order I would like you to complete the project in. And starting with number 1 is you're gonna use your project 1 Excel worksheet. You're going to enter the terms of the loan. $30,000 is the loan amount. Our first payment occurred in 18. Now, we're switching gears, we're in 19, so the transactions will be 2019. So the Sage transactions will be all dated 2019. And we are going to complete 1 month, the month of January 2019. So we need to identify then within the month of January the loan payment, which is going to be payment number 2. But anyway, the terms of the loan, you can put this in 5.5%, 15 years, made monthly on the 21st.
So you want to use, for the first loan, you want to use 18 or 19?
Well,
The first
this
payment?
just tells me that the first payment occurred on 2018.
Okay.
We don't put an actual date on that loan amortization schedule. It just says payment 1, payment 2, payment 3. So there's no date to be there. But when we make our monthly payment in January, that'll be the second payment, because the first payment was already done. I'll address that when we get to the transactions. What is the requirement then for the input? I would like you, once you have the information entered onto your loan amortization schedule, I would like a PDF file, top 10, bottom 10, like you did with the project. I would like that uploaded into Blackboard, basically. I don't need to see the Excel file because I've already graded your project one already. I just need to print out.
So we're just opening our project 1 and changing the numbers?
Basically,
Okay.
and then print out a PDF
And
report.
changing the name?
You want print out this time?
Just the top 10 and the bottom 10
Oh.
payments.
Not submit, right? Print out and bring to you?
No, just print it out as a PDF
Oh, okay.
and then upload that file into
Okay.
Blackboard. I'll show you where that is shortly. Next, number 2, is to take your project 4 and you'll have 2 assets. 1 is the computer, 2 is the office furniture. To basically then put into a worksheet, right, like we did with project 4, the amount, the salvage value, yeah, or resale value, the life of the note or equipment or furniture, and then that's it. These assets were all bought in January 1st of 2018. So this company has been in existence for at least a year, and we're just kind of picking up on that company information as of the 2019 year. So the schedule will be, again, purchase date 2018. What do we require for printouts? Again, the whole schedule as a PDF file and submit that. Now for the makers, which is the tax depreciation, right? You will have to determine whether these assets are a 5 or a 7. You can Google it. You may already know, based on your tax experience, know what the class life is for makers. And again, I don't need the Excel file, right? I just need the PDF reports, because I've already graded your Excel work in project 4. Okay, so let's just take a look at where we're at here. On page 16 of your workbook, can you turn there, please? page 16. Of the Net Solutions, I'm sorry,
Oh,
not the book, I'm sorry.
What is it? Yeah, one book.
Of the Net Solutions project, page 16, is my rubric. It shows the points and the differences, or what's required for each submission. So what did we talk about? We basically started here, because that's how page 1 is. And this is due March 26th. Those PDF reports. One of the Excel, one of the loan amortization, and then 2 PDF files of the depreciation schedules. Please make sure that that schedule fits on one page. So landscape, I know it will be small, but I want the full sheet on one page. Those combined will give you the 20 points. Obviously, 10 for the loan, and then 10 for the depreciation schedules. So in Blackboard, if I go to Blackboard here, it's the second submission. So you just click on this assignment link where it says depreciation or Excel projects, 20 points. You submit all 3 PDF reports, or if you want to zip them into a folder, that's fine too. But that's what I'm looking for in that submission, is those 3 reports. I used to collect all this paper, and I was always afraid I'd lose students. So it's much nicer if I have you submit it electronically. Is that all right with everyone? We good? All right. Page 2 of the project. Is where you'll start the Sage software program. So you're going to create a new company. It's a sole proprietorship. It's a calendar year company. It's accrual method. And Richard Zone is the owner. Once you have the company created, and there's a federal ID here number also, you will enter this chart of accounts that I have here. Now this is just a starting list. You will have to create new ones as you go through the project. This is not all of them. Your main job here with the chart of accounts is make sure you have the correct account type for each account, because that dictates what statement it goes on, right? Income or balance sheet. And it dictates whether it's current or long-term. So if you need help with what type, if you go to page, this time in your Sage textbook, page 49 and 50, oh, I was even correct. So make a note here, 49 and 50 are where the book talks about all 16 account types. So look to that. Look in chapter 2. There's some nice examples that might help you determine the correct account type.
what company name?
The company name will be called Net Solutions.
On the solution company?
Yep. But then add your name to it. And again, you can use your first name, that'll be fine. So add your name to the company name called Net Solutions. So once you have this list in, once you have the account types in, I don't think there's any more on page 3, no. Basically then, you've got the next requirement completed for March 26th. So going back to the rubric on page 16, I know I'm going back and forth here, but bear with me. The next requirement for March 26th is this chart of account list that we just talked about. I'm going to be looking at basically your account classification. I gave you the numbers. It's a 5-digit number. Be consistent. Make sure that you add your name to the company name for the report. And then I would like you to print out the report as a PDF file and submit that. So for 16 points, that's what I'm looking for March 26th. Again, it's not going to take you long to enter that list and print off that file. Probably 5-10 minutes, maybe longer. Watch your spelling though, okay guys? I will be looking at spelling on your account names because again, you're going to be showing that on a financial statement you don't want spelling errors. It's very embarrassing. Everybody okay? All right, page 3. And this is step number 3. We have to get the beginning balances in. We have to get the beginning balances in. We're going to start this in January of 2019. Remember, our transaction dates will all be 2019. I would like you to make one entry for the beginning balances. I do not want you to use beginning balances when you set up your chart of accounts, that history thing. I would like you to just make a journal entry. This is one entry. Debits are here, credits are here. I verified it, they do balance. The debits will equal the credits in this journal entry. And use a posting date of 1/1/19. That's step 3. And I make a note with the chart of accounts that new ones will have to be added as you go through the project. Step 4. Now we're approaching the next March 26th requirement, which is basically setting up defaults, setting up vendors, setting up customers, and sales tax, which we'll get to shortly. So here's the information. I'm not going to go step by step. Some of this I'm just going to let you go and see if you can figure it out. For the vendor and customer defaults, I would like you to do a print screen of the vendor default page. Now, just as and I should have had this started already, but I don't. So let me get Sage started here. under maintain is where the default information is located. And the two defaults that we're going to enter are the vendor and customer defaults. So I'm going to start with vendor because that's what number 4 is about. I'm sorry I can't make this screen larger, but there is default due dates, which is 30, discount days is 10, 2%. But basically, you'll have to define this expense account, default expense and default purchases discount. And these will be defined in our packet as our inventory account. Merchandise inventory will be the default expense and the default discount. That's really all you have to do for that default section. Now, does everybody know how to do a print screen?
Print screen on your
There's a print screen on your keyboard, and I think if you use Alt print screen, that will just do the
active one.
active screen. So I'm just going to try this. I always forget. I think it's Alt print screen.
Hold out and then
Hold out and then hit the print screen.
Oh,
Alt print screen will give you just the active screen for the vendor defaults. So when I say print screen and paste into the Word document, that's what I just did now. Can you all do that? Is that all right?
That's what you wanted, Abdul? Yeah.
This screen, yep,
That you want that, okay.
yep. I want the vendor and the customer done this way. And we haven't talked about customer defaults, but we'll get there shortly. So I'm just going to minimize this. Go back to our document. Step 5 is the first vendor. All the information for that vendor, including terms. Page 4 of our packet is a couple more vendors, CNET and the Wisconsin Department of Revenue. Again, all mailing address, expense accounts are given. Step 6 on page 4, we have our inventory. So we have a hard drive. Selling price is $150. Cost is $52.50. And we're using the first in, first out method of inventory valuation. The appropriate sale account numbers, cost of sale, and inventory accounts are listed for each item. So basically, this item or this document has everything you need to enter the inventory item. Now, we haven't done that yet in our class discussion. Basically, in Sage, the inventory list is entered. You have an inventory and services menu, right? You can enter the inventory item right there under the inventory and services menu. Or you can go to maintain inventory items, right? And you can enter that information there. But everything on that document that I gave to you is all you need to enter the inventory information. Now, we have talked about the taxability. What does 1 mean for an inventory item? If I have a 1 here, it says regular and what? It's taxable. So that 1 is associated with our document right here. You see where it says tax type? And 1 means it's taxable. So some of our inventory will be taxable, some will not. The ones on this list, I think, on pages 4 and 5, they are all taxable. CPU is taxable on page 5 of our packet. And then there's some RAM that is also taxable on page 5. All right. Finally, we get to our sales tax. This is step 7. We have to create a Wisconsin Brown sales tax code at 5.5%. So here again, this is all the information you need to set up that account called basically Wisconsin Brown. So let's look at Sage. Where do you think sales tax would be entered? What on the left, what menu item would be used when we're talking about sales tax?
You sell to the customer.
Customers. I agree. That's where you go, customers. And right here is where you enter the sales tax code under customers. Remember, we need to attach the code to a customer name. All of our customers will be in Brown County. We won't be dealing with any other county. So when you come into the sales tax area, you're going to create a new sales tax and really let Sage guide you through that process using the data on page 5. Am I on 5 or am I? It's 5. Page 5. So set up a new code. What is the total rate that you will charge? 5.5. And you'll notice that it's already in a percent format. So you enter the 5.5. And how many codes does that make? Is it made up of? 2. What are the 2? Wisconsin is 1,
And Brown.
Brown is the other, right? And Wisconsin's at 5, Brown's at the 0.5%. So once you put 2 in, Sage is going to want to know, well, what are the 2? And we're going to call one Wisconsin. I can't get it all in.
They just have a capital W and capital I on the paper.
That's probably why you couldn't fit the full name in.
We are.
Sales tax agency name.
That they have Wisconsin, like, written.
Thank you, guys. Which vendor? Well, no, who do we pay the check to?
Oh, Wisconsin Department of Revenue.
Yes. WDR, which you'll already have set up. Now, I don't have that set up in this sample company. So I'm surprised that it did take it. Maybe I did set it up already. I'll put new. What's the expense account for Wisconsin Department of Revenue? Look at that vendor information, please. Page 4, I think it's on.
Wouldn't it be income?
No. This is sales tax. So what? Wisconsin sales tax payable, right? So that's the expense account. It seems strange putting a liability account in an expense field. But remember, sales tax is not an expense to us, right? We just collect it from the customer, we hold it, and then we should pay the Wisconsin Department of Revenue. If you don't, they come after you. So that's always the bad thing. So let's save that. Close the vendor. And it's a single rate for Wisconsin at 5%. And again, we're going to track that tax in the sales tax payable account, which is what type of an account? Sales tax payable is what? Other current liability is the type, right? And hit next. Now, after agency 1 is done, it's going to ask for agency 2. What's agency 2?
Brown.
Brown. And what's its rate?
0.5.
That's it. Now you got your 2 agencies in. But what we need to do next is, now that we have those agencies defined, we got to put them together, right? So that we can then assign that one code to that customer. So the combined is called how original, Wisconsin/Brown, right? And just call it sales tax. The tax is not going to be on freight, so you can just keep that at no. And you'll look here, it's already assigned these 2 agencies to this code. And this is the Wisconsin Brown code that you'll use then for every customer. So that's step 7, getting that sales tax code in. So I'm going to hit finish here. Now, the report I am looking for, because that's one of the requirements due on March 26th, is the sales tax code list. Where in the reports would you find the sales tax code list? Where do you think? What area? Accounts receivable, actually, yes, right? Because isn't that where we entered the code, is in the accounts receivable section? So under accounts receivable, you've got to go down toward the bottom, called sales tax, sales taxes. This is the report that I would like you to print. Wisconsin and Brown, you're only going to have one. This is that sample with Georgia stuff in it. But on the bottom, you'll see the one code, Wisconsin Brown, with 2 rates, the vendor. That's the report I would like you to print out for March 26th. You'll notice with all the reports in Sage, you can hit PDF, right? Is that what you guys all do? Okay. And that will save it as a PDF file. And that's what I would like to submit to Blackboard. Okay, now going back to our notes, we've got step 7 done. Go to step 8 next. What are we dealing with 8 and 9? Defaults first for accounts receivable. Under maintain. So this is also due March 26th. Again, like our vendor defaults, do a print screen, paste it with your Word document. You can put it with the vendor, that's fine, in the same Word document. What's step 9? A customer list. This is also due March 26th. Again, all the information is here that you need to create a new customer, business solutions, advanced learning, and Juan Abelar, which is finished on page 7. Couldn't fit it all on page 6. This is due on March 26th, this customer list, printed out as a PDF report. starting with transaction 9 and how about 10? The rest of this is due May 7th. From 10 forward is due May 7th. So I'm not saying you can keep going if you wish to, that's fine. But you might have some questions as you start your transactions, which is, again, what I'm hoping for. I would like to hear, or I want you to ask good questions if you get stuck. I'm on this transaction, I've done this, I'm not sure if that's working or if that's what you want. Let me know what you're thinking. The goal of this is to see if you know how to run a business using Sage. So let's go to our rubric and we'll wrap up the March 26th requirements. Page 16 again of your packet. So what do I require for March 26th is numbers 1 through 5, the customer and vendor default screens, which are in a Word document, the vendor list, the customer list, and I just showed you the sales tax code list. That will finish up the requirements for March 26th. Now with the vendor list and the customer list, we have to modify reports. I want to see if you can modify the reports to take some things off, add some things to it. Remember we have that column button in the report that you can turn on. We did that with the GL description, accounting. Turn on certain columns, turn off certain columns, get it to fit on one page. I would recommend landscape for both the customer and vendor lists, because there is quite a few fields on those that you will have. So landscape those printouts, vendor list and customer list. The rest of this, starting with the other reports, this is not due to May 7th, going forward on the rubric. So the first 3 things on the rubric are due March 26th. The rest of the rubric requirements are not due till May 7th. May 7th is when the rest of it's due. So again, I think it's certainly doable. Let's wrap up the discussion then. I'm just going to quickly go through what's in your packet. So we left off on page 7. Which is the start of the transactions. Remember, you're in January of 2019 when you start these transactions. I do have some hints, notes. Please read those. And I'm not saying you have to start this over spring break. You don't have to do that, right? I will give you time to work on these during class. But let's go to page 8. Are more transactions. Page 9 are more transactions. And then there is a payroll section with item 13. Now, we will talk about payroll when we do our chapter 10 Sage discussion. Chapter 10, which is the last chapter in our book that we're going to talk about, is payroll. Again, what I've given you, the steps I've given you, you can probably do this without even me talking about Chapter 10, but I think it would make more sense once we discuss that. So that's payroll, the setup, and page 10 is more setup. Finally, on page 10, we're going to have 2 employees. Paul Martin is 1 employee on page 10. On page 11 is Elizabeth, another employee. And then on page 10, page 11, there are 2 payrolls. One's dated January 9th. The other is dated January 16th. It's a weekly payroll. Sage will compute the Social Security and Medicare and federal and state withholding amounts. That's done automatically. There's nothing there to look up. It's 2000 and it's dated, though it's not a current tax date, obviously. Item 19. You have, well, there's 4 here. At the end of the month, January 31st, you're going to have some adjusting entries to make. That is given in step 19. There's 5 of them, 5 adjusting entries. These are the first 4, A, B, C, D. Page 12 has the 5th one. You need to record 1 month's depreciation, because we're only doing January. Your schedule's by year, is it not? Your schedule, your depreciation schedule, project 4 is by year. And what year are we going to use? 2019, right? 18's done, so you're already in the 2nd year of that asset. Check figures. Three of them. You have to hit them. I don't want the project if you don't hit them. I've had it with prior semesters when students don't hit these check figures and they turn it in. It's not, I can't do the work anymore. I'm too old, I think. I don't know. There's no reason why you can't hit these check figures. And these are right, because my accelerated course went through it. They hit these check figures and they did an awesome job. To get, this is a TSA, to get that TSA 77%, you have to hit these check figures. Otherwise you ain't gonna make it. And it's a great learning tool, right? If you don't hit the check figures the first time around,
Something went wrong.
we gotta figure out what went wrong, right? And fix it, and how to fix it, right? So I can point you to an area that is the problem. Oh, instead of 6 hours, I put 5 hours for the number sold. You know, stuff like that. Or I sold a CPU. Oh, I should have sold a hard drive, right? So it's very easy to make a mistake. But again, I can point you to direction and then figure out how to fix it. Or maybe the adjusting entries backwards. I want to put one more check figure on here. And I'm not going to put the amount. The note payable, that loan, has to match your schedule. the note payable on your balance sheet, right, has to match your schedule after the second payment. Remember, we made the first payment in December last year, 2018. We're going to make another payment in January, right? So that would lend you to believe that my balance sheet should match my note payable schedule after the second payment. That has to be hit. So that one is also very important. One other thing, students sometimes struggle with the term gross sales. What does that mean? Before what? Before what?
Before tax.
No. Before returns, right?
Oh,
And before discounts. So it's the gross sales. What did I make during the month? Not net sales. So watch that. Also, make sure the sales tax payable, that has to be located where? Where's the sales tax payable account? What am I looking at? Liabilities, right? Current liabilities. And this is what I better see on my Wisconsin ST12. Does anybody have a ST12?
This one?
Yes. Line number 17. Line 17 of the ST12 should show this $267.69. Even if it's a penny off, we got to figure out how to get that penny to where it should be. And that's got to match the balance sheet. The state of Wisconsin likes to look at your balance sheet, right? And then they pull out the ST12 and say, why doesn't that match? Okay, now, the rest on item 20 are all the reports. But they're also found on the rubric page, right? These are just maybe additional information, you know, like the sales journal. What do I want? Please add the GL description to it. Or the cash receipts journal. Please add that description to it. So it's all the things that we've all the reports basically listed here, but they're on the rubric page. The customer list, which we've already talked about, and on page 50, it should be 16 of the rubric, it shows the requirements for the customer list. So it's just an overview, I guess. Once you're done, the check figures are great, the reports are all done. You need to submit the backup file through Blackboard. There's no points on it, but submit the backup file anyway. There are 3 questions that I would like you to use a nice Word document. 1, 2, 3. I think they're self-explanatory. I'll let you read them on your own and answer more than one sentence. Okay? Something more than a nice paragraph. Let's just say that. For each question, you should have a nice paragraph. Now, I have in Blackboard a link for each question. I do that so that students remember that there are 3 questions. But if you don't want to submit 3 Word documents, right, you can answer all 3 documents or all 3 questions on one document.
And only submit it once.
And just submit it once, yes. For efficiency purposes, right? I want to know efficiency if I can. So these are the 3 questions. And then on the bottom of page 13 is the ST12. I will be handing one out to you. I thought I had one here, but I don't.
You did last,
Is that,
Class, you
last
give us-
week.
did I? Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. I thought I printed one out. But you can use that one to enter your report on. I can scan it for you using the copier right here and submit it as a PDF file. There is also on the Wisconsin Department of Revenue site a fillable form. Some students will do that, fill their information in and print it out as a PDF from there. So you can do it either way, from either the paper copy or the WD&R fillable ST12. And again, if you need help finding that, I can certainly help you find that when you get to that point. We're only doing the month of January, and the report is due the 20th following the month in most cases for most companies. On page 14, is the last thing you'll do, which is the scenario summary. You can use Project 3 as an example. Some students will use Project 3 and just change it, modify it. You can try that. In this instance, it might be quicker if you just start over, but that's your preference. You can use either direction, whatever you think is more comfortable. But this, in order for the scenario summary to work, you really have to establish range names for these amounts, these either dollar amounts or percents, right? And then from those range names, you're going to create an income statement, both income and expenses. So if, for instance, as an example, sales returns and allowance is 2% of gross sales, right? That will be a formula. So range name return, which is the 2% times gross sales. That's your formula. So you're going to create a expected income statement from scratch. I want it formatted nice, right? Title, period, income, call it a projected income statement or expected income statement. Give it a title. For net solutions for the company, right? Make it look nice. But then have in your input section all these percentages with range names attached to them. Can I just make a note? There is a difference between gross sales and net sales. These are all based on net sales. What is net sales? Your gross sales minus returns minus
Discount.
discounts, that's it.
Um,
That's net sales. So these are based on net. The return and allowances and discounts are based on gross. And cost behavior is just there because of my cost background. I like to talk about cost. All right. Then on page 15 are the best case and worst case scenarios. These are the numbers that you're going to enter in, right, in that scenario summary under what if analysis. I should say data what if analysis. These are the numbers that you'll enter there. And again, if you need help with this, just let me know. And one more thing, when we're multiplying this, like here, I want all these rounded to 0 places. Whenever you multiply, has to have the round command in it. This is a projection. I don't want to see cents, so format the numbers. I want the numbers aligned, right? And if I have a subtotal, right, I want a $ underneath that subtotal. If you do a subtotal for gross sales and then net sales, I want to see a $ there. Or total expenses. I've even seen students add cost of sales to their net sales. We subtract, right, to get gross margin. So make sure the income statement looks appropriate. What do I need to submit? I want the Excel file and a PDF report. I want both for this summary. Both. And then the last page is the rubric itself of your packet, showing what I'm looking for and what the summary needs to look like. That's the last page, page 18. To wrap it up, on page 17 are just the points for the ST12. There are some SAGE reports. We actually can print out the Wisconsin payroll tax forms and federal 941 form. Again, we'll talk about this in chapter 10. Obviously, it's not current. I know I showed 2019, but remember the dollars incurred were in 2019. And I think the 941 form is like a 2017 version. So remember, this is an educational version. And then the scenario summary. So that's it basically, guys, for the Net Solutions project. Any questions? As far as submission then, under Learning Plan 15, the first 3 are the ones you gotta have done, right, by March 26th. The rest of these, starting with the 80 points, I have the due dates there, May 7th. Now with the reports, there's quite a few reports for the 80 points. You can compress them and zip them, right? Or if you want to upload each PDF report, that's up to you. And the 3 questions, again, I have 3 spots, but again, you can just use one with one document. And then our scenario summary, and then the backup file to finish. That's everything that has to be uploaded. But again, most of this can be done here, so if you have questions on uploading or what needs to be uploaded when, just let me know. Okay, March 26th then, we will be discussing chapters 5 and 6, April 2nd, 7 and 8, April 9th, 9 and 10. So basically from April 9th to May 7th, you're on your own, so to speak. And that's where you can work on that Net Solutions. On April 7th though, I would like to do the PowerPoint presentations on that date, April 7th. Now, we haven't talked about that yet, but it's a topic of interest for you that you want to talk about. You can be about yourself, your career, your hobbies, your vacations that you've taken. Food is always a good one.
Vacations that we're gonna take?
Pardon?
Can it be vacations we're gonna take?
Or vacations you want to take. Food's always a good because it's nice to eat during your discussions. So just throwing that out there for everyone. If you wish to make something.
No, I mean, I don't understand. Is this to work on our soft skills?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Communication skills, correct. And the last thing is something I need to do. I'm going to evaluate your
So then, April
Behavior.
7th is our last day then?
7th is the last date.
Okay.
May 7th.
I'm okay
May
with that.
7th.
Everybody
May
keeps saying
I
April.
know,
Oh,
I'm-
great.
Yours too.
My bad.
Saying April.
May 7th is our last physical
I
day
know.
here.
Yeah, okay.
Correct. Yes. And
I'm
we're
pretty sure I just said April too.
and the presentation, guys, 5-10 minutes is what I'm looking for. Because there's about 12 of us, and usually most times students go over, but that's okay. And 9, I'll have a rubric, but I'm looking at about basically 9 slides, including the cover page or cited resources, if you have any. I'm not too tough on that, guys. It's more of a fun thing. It's probably the best day of my semester is those presentations because I get to see and hear a lot about you guys, which is, I'm just blown away at some of the things that you guys do when you're not here. So that's kind of neat to see. So that's the rest of the semester laid out. Any final questions? Okay, we'll stop here. The rest of the day is yours to work on your projects.